Hi, and welcome to another episode of Starship Gaming. Before we get started, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out. It helps the channel grow. It helps keep us motivated to keep making gaming videos. And of course, don't forget to hit the bell on your way out. Also, our recommended episode of the day, if you haven't watched it, we recommend our episode of Starship Gaming, episode 114, in which we discuss why the PS4 game Godzilla has suddenly increased in value. And it's, it came out, I think that episode came out close to a month ago, but it is still more relevant than ever. And we may have a follow-up video about that. So if you haven't watched that episode, go give it a watch, please. It really helps out, and it helps, shows that you support us. And don't forget to leave a comment on the video on what you think. So let's jump right into today's topic. So in an article last week, it was revealed that production is coming along nicely with the Atari VCS, and that they're on track to have it released sometime this year. But more importantly, it was revealed that they had purchased the rights to Wonder Technology for the WonderOS. And not only was that revealed, but also cross-platform gaming will be a thing with the Atari VCS. Of course, if I believe correctly, they've been saying that for a while, so it's not really new news, but it gives us a little bit more insight into it. So WonderOS is going to be integrated into the Atari VCS. And not only that, but they signed a 10-year exclusive deal with Wonder. So apparently Atari is in this for the long haul. And we may even see a second Atari console within the next 10 years. If you take in consideration the average lifespan of a console, especially a console like this that does not play physical copies, the hardware is going to become out of date fairly quickly. So they'll have to push another console out onto the market at least every 4 to 5 years if they want to keep their hardware being the latest stuff and whatnot. So that's kind of exciting news. I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for Atari. And it looks like for the longest time the Atari VCS was more or less not on track, but it looks like they're finally turning things around, and it looks like it may do pretty well. The biggest thing that turns it off from people, like I've mentioned, is the fact that it can't play physical games. But maybe this could be the start of the next generation of consoles without, the first generation without physical games. There has been, in the past generations, there have been a few consoles, like the Ouya, didn't play physical games. That's what a lot of people feared the Atari VCS would turn out. Like, it would turn out like how well the Ouya did, which Ouya did well for its first, year and a half it was on the market, and then suddenly just bottomed out. Nobody wanted one. Like, that's all I heard in the gaming community. Oh, I want an Ouya. I even knew a guy who sold several of his consoles just to get his hands on an Ouya. Now, I know that sounds bad, but they were older consoles, I promise you. And then when he gets it, he was so disappointed with it. He's like, oh man, I can't believe I sold my Sega Genesis, my Super Nintendo, my Nintendo 64, and my GameCube for this little hunk of plastic. And I think that's what a lot of people are worried about with the Atari VCS, that it's going to be another Ouya. And I really hope that it's not. In fact, I'm going to say that I'm starting to have confidence in it. Of course, the Intellivision Amico, it looks like that it's going to have a rivalry between those two. And not to, say that one's going to do better than the other, but it looks like these two primeval in terms of they were once rivals in the early 1980s. I should say ancient. These two ancient warriors are finally going to meet in the battlefield once more. And, we'll see how that goes. That should be interesting how that plays out, especially when you take two old names like Intellivision and Atari, and you throw them in the ring with the likes of Microsoft and Sony, and of course their mortal enemy Nintendo. So let's see how that turns out. Primeval, primordial. I don't know. One of those words. That's just a thought. We are getting way off track now. So the Atari VCS, it looks like things are starting to turn around for it, and it looks like it's starting to gain support. It's starting to gain attention. Of course, there's a lot of people out there who think it's a scam, that they're just trying to slap something together and throw it out on the market. We hope to God that it doesn't. Or whatever you worship. We, as gamers, we want to have hope in a new console like this. Of course, there for a long time, I didn't really have a lot of hope in it. I just thought it was something that was going to go out there and it was going to fail as soon as it reached the market. Like a good example of that, and this is where all my worries came from, the Google Stadia. The Google Stadia failed. It is a failure. It already is, which I'll do a video on it in the future. But it failed. It is not selling good unless Google does something to turn it around within the next year. I'm going to say by March of 2021, then they will have perhaps the biggest failure of a console on their hands. Probably in the history of ever. But we'll do another video just on that in the near future. I'm going to give it about a month or so, or whatever, before I finally sit down and really want to discuss the Google Stadia, because it's not really at this point worth discussing. There's nothing desirable about it, and that's my honest opinion. So maybe that's just the video, my disappointment in the Google Stadia. So it appears that the teaming up of Wonder and Atari, or Atari and Wonder, or vice versa, whatever. From what I've read, they haven't really laid out plans of, as of this recording, of how all that's going to work out. But I'm sure we'll be getting an update on it fairly soon. I mean, of course, other than WonderOS becoming a part of the Atari VCS, but we don't know everything yet about it. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. So I have two questions for you. The first question, what do you think? Is Atari VCS finally turning around? Is this good news? Is this bad news? Let me know in the comments. Now, time for the second question. So this one is for retro gamers out there. So I'm going to be covering a topic soon on a retro game. And I picked one console in particular that no one hardly talks about. And I thought it was time to talk about a game from it, the Sega Saturn. So my question is, let me rephrase that. Which Sega Saturn game would you like me to discuss in a future episode? I'm not sure when this episode will be released. It'll probably be within a few, could be a few days, could be a few weeks, could be a few months, I don't know. But I'd like to hear your opinions, and let me know what you think in the comments down below of which Sega Saturn game you would like to see me discuss. And also, don't forget to check out our, featured video Starship Gaming episode 114. It's the one where I discuss the Godzilla game for PS4 and why in the hell it went to be worth so much money. So if you haven't checked that episode out, show your support, check that episode out, watch it, and leave a comment on it and let me know what you think. I think we're going to have featured episodes talked about in every episode, and I'd like to see some support out there of people actually going and watching them and letting me know what you think. So yeah, check that out. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want notifications of when we make more awesome videos. And until next time, I will see ya.